And he would like for everybody to have this. He believes that the information contained in here will change your life and the way you look at things. And after I went and analyzed it, it sure made a big impact about the way I was thinking about things. And so anyway, I'm going to share with you some of the main issues that he raises in here. Now, you're going to have to follow this stuff pretty close. I might have to go back over a little bit to get it in your mind. But it has to do with the greatest scam perpetrated on North America. Well, yeah, probably the biggest scam ever perpetrated on North America. And that has to do with the creation of the government that was not. Okay, we get a few Snickers already. But you'll be snickering there really big in a minute. Everybody got this right here? Everybody see this? I erased it all. One of the things you need to do to understand the gist of what's being said with this dissertation here. Now, first off, you got to remember a PhD dissertation was not written by a grammar school graduate. It was written by a man who was well studied, and so it's going to be just a little bit difficult for those of us who didn't quite get that far in school. Anyway, some of the key things that you're going to have to look at in this is the difference between words. Now, words have meaning. And so when words are used in a particular writing, how the words are used, particular placement and so forth, does have meaning. And in regards to the founding documents of this country, the individuals who wrote those words were very well educated. Now, how many of y'all, well, you don't have to admit to it, how many of y'all seen this series of books that my parents studied in school called McGuffey's Readers? McGuffey's Readers. McGuffey's Readers, see? How many? Now, for those of you who raised your hand and tried to read those books, how many of you understood them? Liar, put your hands down. Well, the words in them are typically not the words we use. That's why I'm kind of fooling with you here. The words that are in those books are not typically the words we use, so it's very difficult to understand the message that's coming across. But those were the basic readers that were required to progress through the grades. And a proficiency with a McGuffey reader allows you to move up, from the first to second to third grade or whatever. Now, put down a set of McGuffey readers in front of a college graduate and have them tell you what it says. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Again, the words that were used were not words that we typically use today. However, the thought process that was going on there. So what I'm trying to impose on your mind here, or to present to your mind, is the idea that the founding documents that were written by people who had gotten way past McGuffey readers. Now, you got to understand, when my father graduated the 8th grade, way back when, that was actually like saying today what we would call a college sophomore. And my mother, who actually went all the way through high school and then went on to college, the level of education from her college, from nursing school. She went to nursing school. But the level of her knowledge was way beyond PhD that we have today. See what I mean? And so these people who wrote these documents way back in the 1700s are not illiterate hillbillies. And so you have to carefully analyze what it was they said and why did they say it that way. And so you have to be very careful with the words that are used. And so some of the problems you're going to run into when you start looking at the Constitution is you're going to have to take a real close look at what is being said in it, and then you're going to have to separate it out, because I'll put it to you this way. In my opinion, the Constitution was probably a diversionary tactic. Don't throw rocks at me. And after I get done discussing the issues brought up by this gentleman here, you may come to the same conclusion. But anyway, there's a few words that I want to bring to your attention. Office of President. President of United States of America, and President of the United States. Now, if you were not a brainwashed citizen like me, coming from some distant planet, and you saw those things written on the board, what would you immediately see? 3 different things. If you weren't educated in the public school system, like myself, then you immediately see there's three different things up there. They're not the same thing. And one of the things that I did learn after I got out of the public school system is this word here. One definition of this word means without. So sometimes in your thought process, when you start reading the word of, O-F, and start saying without. For instance, President without the United States, without America. I hear a lot of light bulbs going on. President without the United States, without America. Because you're going to learn that when somebody takes one of these offices right here, they expatriate. They are no longer a part of. They are outside of. They are without. They're not within. So just think about that sometimes when you go to look at some of these things. It might help you in some of your thought process. All right, so let me kind of just launch off into some of the logic. I'll just keep this up here for you so you can kind of, I'm not going to follow the thing. What he points out in his dissertation is this, he just point blank says, he says, I'm going to explain this 3 times. I'm going to repeat it 3 times in my dissertation. He does. He goes through it 3 times. Just a little bit of variation here, there, and the other. But he's trying to hit it from all different angles so that you can see the point. And if I have to, I'll go over 3 times a day. But anyway, this document, of course, is on the CD handout we have. And if you want to make copies of it and pass it around and give it to all your neighbors and everybody in your community and so forth, this gentleman right here would be very pleased if you would do so. So, I think he's sent it around to quite a few prominent people like congressmen, so forth and so on. But anyway, let's go over some of the points of this. One of the things he points out right up front, there are 2, well, if there's 2, there's 3, but anyway, he points out that there are at least 2 constitutions. Now, some of y'all might not know that. But there is something called the Constitution for the United States of America, and there's also something called Constitution for the United States. Where do you find the Constitution for the United States? Statutes and codes. That gives you any idea what you can be looking into. See? And of course there were several versions of the Constitution originally anyway. But anyway, what we have today is probably a distilled version, because there are many constitutions. But anyway, what we have today, look carefully at the language that's inside of the Constitution for the United States of America. Now, why do we have the Constitution for the United States of America? We had the Articles of Confederation. Okay? And no, they weren't broke. Who said broke? Actually, they weren't broke.
Bankruptcy document?
Yeah, kind of. But let me go a little step further to the bankruptcy document. First off, where did the Constitution for the United States of America come from? Who said England? Ain't them guys from England back there, is it? All right, look here. No. Well, the principles came from there. Or some of the principles came from there. But it was actually written by the Constitutional Convention. And who was the presiding officer at the Constitutional Convention? Did you guys all go to public school? No, George Washington. George Washington was the president of the convention. Now, was this an open forum public meeting? It wasn't? You mean it was a secret meeting?
Knights Templar. It was a lie.
No. Don't go off on all that. Look here now. It was a secret meeting. Now, at that point in history, were they afraid for their lives? No. We already whooped the British. So they weren't afraid of getting hung for treason. We already had the Articles of Confederation, Northwest Declaration of Independence, all that stuff. We already had those things. But they held a secret meeting because why? They may not have wanted the people to know what they were doing. Why do you have secret meetings? Because you don't want folks to know what you're up to. Hey, the guys that run the backroom poker games, man, they got to be real secret about that, because somebody's going to come in there and get in trouble. So anyway, there was a secret meeting going on. And when they finally got done, Benjamin Franklin came out of the secret meeting, and the lady asked him, Mr. Franklin, what kind of government have you given us? He said, a republic, if you can keep it. And he said that tongue in cheek. Okay, let's go a bit further. As mentioned here, there are 2 constitutions. One of them as a result of the Constitutional Convention, which is held secret. Let's see, the convention began on May the 25th, 1787, and it finally got done September 17th, 1887. So that's what, June, July, August, about 4.5 months. Mind you, the best minds on the continent for 4.5 months came out with a document that finally comprised, 2 or 3 pages. Single space typing. All right? So why did it take the best minds on the continent 4.5 months to come up with 2 or 3 pages of single space typing? Well, I don't know. But we'll talk about that. Anyway, so in that document, it refers to itself as this Constitution. Okay? So if I say to you, did you get a room? Let's say, what is the room number where you stayed last night? Is it this room? No. It's some other room in this building, isn't it? All right. So if I say this Constitution, and I talk about the Constitution, would I necessarily be referring to the same thing? No. But anyway, in the Constitution that we generally look at, it calls itself this Constitution. So when the different things are being said in that document, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about this piece of paper, this document. Now, is there something that we could refer to as the Constitution? Where is the Constitution written? Statutes and Codes. What title is it? Anybody remember? I forget all that stuff. But if you go into the Statutes and Codes to look at the Constitution, what will you find? All of the articles, and without 3 exceptions, all of the amendments. They're all in brackets. Which means what? They legally don't appear. Okay, change the tape. Everybody sit. So let's see. Let me look at my notes here and see. The actual date when George Washington took the oath of office. It was actually April the 30th. And so on April the 30th, red letter date, he was actually elected on by electoral college February the 4th, took the oath of office on April the 30th. What year? Let me write some big question marks out here. Does that put a question mark in your mind? Going on the firm conviction that he was an intelligent man. So if he did something, he had a reason to do it. Would you conclude that? Okay. Yeah, he said if he was an intelligent man. We've got some up here on the front row that have little problems, but in any event, we have a dilemma going on here. I'm going to let it sink in for a minute while I take a drink of water. Okay, now you see the dilemma. Let me erase part of this off so I can write some other stuff up here. First off, let me explain that the Articles of Confederation provide for the Electoral College to pick a man to be to fulfill the office of president. Now, there are no qualifications for that office. There were no stipulations put on that. Whoever the electoral college picked was going to be the president, was going to fulfill the office of president under the Articles of Confederation. Now, when this Constitution was written, it provided for the office that we call President of the United States. And so the man under the Articles of Confederation who was elected to the office of President by default under this Constitution became the President of the United States of America. Upon his oath, he could take office. And where in this Constitution is the oath of office for the President of the United States of America? Article 6. So, I'll abbreviate up here. So, President without United States, without America, in order to take office, has to swear an oath. And the oath is in Article 6 of this Constitution. Can he take office unless he swears that oath? No, he cannot. Now, what are the stipulations on President of the United States of America under this Constitution? Free, white, landholder, resident for 14 years. On Washington's first inauguration, was it possible that he could have taken the oath of office as President of the United States of America? No. When was the first opportunity that the brethren at the lodge decided that anybody could in fact take position of President of the United States under this Constitution? This date right here. So what did Washington do? Huh? He took a different oath. This, how many of y'all was listening back in February or whatever to, let's see. Come on here. Let's see if I can read it here for you. Each president recites the following oath in accordance with Article 2. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and with the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. What did he just do? He swore in as the CEO of the corporation. Has history recorded any man who has ever taken Article 6 oath as President of the United States of America? It has never happened.
Wow.
Scary. No, don't be pointing at me now. Don't be asking no question. If you got a question, honestly, go back there and...
It's not a question. That's not what Robert said, though, in the oath. Robert said, execute the office of president to the United States. That's what he said.
Okay, that's fine. Over to would be the way, but again, guess what he's swearing to? The United States. And not the United States of America. Okay, so let's go back in history again. And by the way, for all our brethren from across the pond, it's a well-known fact that George Washington had never intended to separate from England. So all you conspiracy theorists now kind of get feel a bit easier about this now? He had never intended to do that. Read your history. So does it start to fall into place now? Have any of y'all seen that article? We've had it on several of our handouts from time to time. The Constitution of No Authority by Lysander Spooner. Lysander Spooner being one of the prominent lawyers in America in the early 1800s. He saw through it. He said this is all baloney. So let's see. Let me look at my notes here and see. The actual date when George Washington took the oath of office. It was actually April the 30th. And so on April the 30th, red letter date, he was actually elected on by electoral college February the 4th, took the oath of office on April the 30th. What year? Let me write some big question marks out here. Does that put a question mark in your mind? Going on the firm conviction that he was an intelligent man. So if he did something, he had a reason to do it. Would you conclude that? Okay. Yeah, he said if he was an intelligent man. Oh, we've got some up here on the front row that have little problems, but in any event, we have a dilemma going on here. I'm going to let it sink in for a minute while I take a drink of water. Okay, now you see the dilemma. Let me erase part of this off so I can write some other stuff up here. First off, let me explain that the Articles of Confederation provide for the Electoral College to pick a man to be to fulfill the office of president. Now, there are no qualifications for that office. There are no stipulations put on that. Whoever the Electoral College picked was going to be the president. We're going to fulfill the office of president under the Articles of Confederation. Now, when this Constitution was written, it provided for the office that we call President of the United States. And so the man under the Articles of Confederation who was elected to the office of president by default under this Constitution became the President of the United States of America. Upon his oath, he could take office. And where in this Constitution is the oath of office for the President of the United States of America. Article 6. So, I'll abbreviate up here. So, President without United States, without America, in order to take office, has to swear an oath. And the oath is in Article 6 of this Constitution. Can he take office unless he swears that oath? No, he cannot. Now, what are the stipulations on President of the United States of America under this Constitution? Free, white, landholder, resident for 14 years. On Washington's first inauguration, was it possible that he could have taken the oath of office as President of the United States of America? No. When was the first opportunity that the brethren at the lodge decided that anybody could in fact take position of President of the United States under this Constitution? This date right here. So what did Washington do? Huh? He took a different oath. Let's, how many of y'all would listen back in February or whatever to let's see. Come on here. Let's see if I can read it here for you. Each president recites the following oath in accordance with Article 2. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and with the best of my ability to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. What did he just do? He swore in as the CEO of the corporation. Has history recorded any man who has ever taken Article 6 oath as President of the United States of America? It has never happened.
Wow.
Scary. No, don't be pointing at me now. Don't be asking no questions. If you got a question, honestly, go back there and...
Not a question. That's not what Robert said, though, in the oath. Robert said, execute the office of President to the United States. That's what he said.
Okay, that's fine. Other two would be the way. But again, guess what he's swearing to? The United States. And not the United States of America. Okay, so let's go back in history again. And by the way, for all our brethren from across the pond, it's a well-known fact that George Washington had never intended to separate from England. So all you conspiracy theorists now kind of get feel a bit easier about this now? He had never intended to do that. Read your history. So does it start to fall into place now? Have many of y'all seen that article? We've had it on several of our handouts from time to time. The Constitution of No Authority by Lysander Spooner. Lysander Spooner being one of the prominent lawyers in America in the early 1800s. He saw through it. He said this is all baloney. From his point of view. Okay, so again, an educated man who could count all the way up to 14 and way past that decided that instead of waiting until July the 4th, 1790, which he could have done, could he not have? Did somebody twist his arm in April and say, hey, swear in? No. There's no pressure on him to do it, but he did something on purpose. Now, how many terms did George Washington fulfill? 2. So 4 years later, let's see, 4 years later, that would be somewhere around, let me get my mathematics going here again. Do we have any math teachers in here? If I make any mistakes, grab me. So let's say you add 4 onto this, and you come up with 1793. Did that meet the 14 years? It did. And what oath did Washington swear that time? Same one. He never came back before that one. And nobody has since. Now, I probably popped a lot of bubbles in here. All this history we're going over here is important. It's important to understand because it will give you a different outlook on the nature of things that go on politically and in the government in this country. Has there ever been anybody in this country in this position who has sworn an oath to protect and defend this Constitution of the United States of America? Not a one. So what are they all protecting and defending? The Constitution of the United States. See? Beautiful, ain't it? Hey, this is a good deal if you can get it going on. Because in one fell swoop, George Washington became the monarch in America. He never filled the office of president under the Articles of Confederation. He never filled the office of President of the United States of America under this Constitution. So what was he? Dictator. Because the job of the President of the United States of America is to appoint the President of the United States. But could the President of the United States of America, who had never taken an Article 6 oath, appoint anybody? So how was it that Mr. Washington could appoint himself President of the United States? Who appointed our President last February? Who appointed him? Well, supposedly he appointed himself. Did he take that Article 6 oath?
No.
Well, he said something close to it, okay? But he did not take an Article 6 oath, I can guarantee you. So could he appoint himself as President of the United States? First off, that'd be a conflict of interest anyway. If Washington had have taken the Article 6 oath, he could have appointed some other man. Now, what qualifications are necessary to be President of the United States? There ain't none. There ain't none.
Not even the vote.
There isn't any. There aren't any. It could be a man. It could be a white man. It could be a black man. It could be a yellow man, a red man. It could be a woman. Okay, hold it down. I'm only kidding. It could have been somebody from Spain. It could have been somebody from China. It could have been an alien that came down in a spaceship. Anybody can be president of the United States. See? Now there have been a lot of people have been worrying themselves to death on the internet about the birth certificate of Mr. Obama. As president of the United States, it don't make any difference. It's a lame argument, folks. It's a lame argument. The real argument, the real consideration has to go back to what? Who appointed him? The President of the United States is not elected. The Electoral College elects to the office of President, and under this Constitution, by default, they become the President of the United States of America, who upon swearing an oath under Article 6 can go down and appoint somebody to be the President of the United States. So in reality, is this country operating under constitutional law? No, it never has. What are we involved in? A corporation that has a constitution that is in the statutes and codes and all the books you find down at the law library. Is there such a thing in the United States of America as the Supreme Court of the United States? It's our one Supreme Court. That's what it calls it in the Constitution. What is the Supreme Court of the United States? No, it's a corporate tribunal. All these law precedences you guys are reading, all the statutes you're going through, that's all pure law merchant stuff. It's all pure law merchant. And it all operates under admiralty jurisdiction by your agreement. It's all contract law. And you may or may not want to be involved in that contract. That's up to you. What do they call the fellows in the black robes up there at the United States Supreme Court? Are they judges?
Justices.
They're justices. They're not judges. Do they have the power from the people to enjoin? Nope, they do not. It is always by your agreement. What contracts have you signed? What benefit privileges have you received? What liabilities and obligations have you created by your agreements? Again, somebody last night pointed you again to George Mercier's book, Invisible Contracts. Go and read it. It'll get you in the mind of some of these things. All right. Well, I don't want to beat this thing to death. I just wanted to point out to you that there is a reason and a justification for doing some of the things that we do administratively. See what I mean? Questions come in back there in regards to this particular. You have to go give him the question now. Don't ask me to break my own code. Are they on this? Are they on this?
They're all over the road.
They're all over where?
They're all over the road.
Well, I'll only answer questions about the... Okay, come on up then. Get out your pencil, write it down, and give it to Jim. What time is it? About 10 o'clock? What time did y'all want to take break back there? You want to take it now? Well, let's answer these questions and then we'll go to break, okay? Okay. Okay, everybody hold it down now. Here comes the first question about this stuff.
Here's the most interesting one.
Okay, everybody listen now.
Okay, I was going to have Brother Nate comment on this, but you might know a thing or two about it. Can you talk about John Hanson, the first black president?
Eric.
No, not Eric. John. Yeah. Well, rather than do that, let me say go to the internet. There's been a book written that explains many of those historical facts. Under the Articles of Confederation, you understand there was something like eight presidents under the Articles of Confederation. And that is different than George Washington being the first president of the United States. So those were under the Articles of Confederation, and Hanson was one of those. So I would go up. No, we have to follow the rules here. So go on the internet and look up this Google of 5 black presidents, and it'll come up that book. And I forgot the name of the book, or I'd say it. Any more about this?
On that, that's about it. Did you want to cover anything on accepting for value at this point?
No.
Okay, then we'll wait. About 90% of this is accepted value.
Okay. All right, let's take a break then. How long? Oh, wait. He finally got his question up here. Oh, here they come. Here they come. Look out.
Under what circumstances does natural-born citizenship apply? Like Barry Goldwater, for instance.
To be the President of the United States of America.
What?
To be the President of the United States of America. Natural born. Natural born.
But you've had Supreme Court decisions in the Goldwater case. You had to have a
Supreme Court, which Supreme Court was that now? Now stay right there. No, okay. I'm answering these questions.
It's a big thing. And, you know, it's as far as a
Well, this is a mind blower, folks. You got to get your mind untwisted. The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court of the United States. That's all it is. It is not our one Supreme Court, which has never existed. The Supreme Court is the court of conscience. But the Supreme Court of the United States is exactly that. And if no, you can't come up there. And if you agree with their decisions, that's okay. You can be a party to and you can participate in the United States if you want to. You do not have to participate. That's what we'll try to hammer into you today in the next couple of days. If you want to participate in the system, please do, and do it correctly. If you do not want to participate in the system, don't. Write your own law. Okay, next question.
Would you recommend the book, The Constitution That Never Was, for folks interested in this subject?
I think I've heard of that book. I don't recall having read it, but read anything. Read everything you can.
If Washington really gave us a dictatorship, why did he say he gave us a republic?
He didn't. Franklin said that.
Franklin, wasn't it? Yeah.
Tongue in cheek.
Are you going to talk about Marie Antoinette?
Marie Antoinette. Why should I?
Ben Franklin.
No. I already talked about that. No, Benjamin Franklin was an attorney. As far as I know, George Washington was not an attorney. But a lot of the participants in the secret Constitutional Convention were attorneys. Who were they working for? The Crown. It will also interest you to know, well, you know the answer to this. Did George Washington sign the Declaration of Independence?
No one signed it.
Why do you think he didn't?
No one did.
He didn't want to get away from England. He wanted to stick with it. Uh-oh, here comes Nate.
I have a question myself, Winston. Now, why is it?
Write it down. Okay. We'll give you immunity. We'll give you immunity. Who said boo? All right.
Why is it the justices on the Supreme Court do not have to be attorneys?
Why should they be?
Well, I mean, most judges are attorneys, aren't they? Most
Well,
people in that profession.
The reason most what they call judges are attorneys is so they won't make any legal mistakes. If you have a magistrate sitting on the bench who is not an attorney, you can request an attorney sit next to him to make sure he makes no procedural mistakes.
My reference on this, ladies and gentlemen, is going back, I think in the 1960s. Abe Fortas, you may recall, sat on the Supreme Court for a few years. He was never trained in law school.
Oh, we're going to give another waiver here because of Nate. Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say was about if you have your Black's Law Dictionary, look up the word constitutor. It means one obligated to pay the debt of another, and that's their principal obligation. So when you talk about the Constitution of the United States, their principal obligation is to pay the debt to the creditor. You know who that is.
Correct. That's why Washington became president of the United States, because he wanted to collect tax.
Right.
Remember the Whiskey Rebellion? Shays' Rebellion in Pennsylvania? See, the President of the United States of America can't collect taxes. He has no taxing power. But a corporate president does.
Right. And see, I want to say a correction about John Hanson. Obama is the first black president of the United States.
There you go.
But for the president for the United States, you had 6 black presidents. Most of us are going to have an open mind, because most of us have been miseducated. And you may come off, this is not reverse racism. Get that out of your mind. That's part of our problems. We've been taught inside the box. But the point is that like you said, the Articles of Confederation were already in place. But there was a debt that was owed. See, and understanding that Washington and all them guys, they were fugitives. They kicked them out of England, man. They were fugitives. See what I mean? So, yeah, I don't want to go.